Put your X up in the air. D-Style, it's HCPX. This is, what day is it? Wednesday? We on hump day already?
That's
hump
right.
day, HCPX. You know, we got plenty of boxing to talk about. We got matchups. We got Joe Joyce coming this weekend. Is Joe Joyce boxed out? I want to talk top 10 pound for pound today. Dude, the top 10 pound for pound is just simply not fighting. We're 4.5 months in, D-Style, and the top 10 pound for pound is simply not fighting.
But you know what,
I want to talk Tank versus Knight.
Well, I was going to say really quick, and I know we're going to dive in on that, but
no, go ahead.
Look, shit. Like, remember I used to say the best defense is knocking a guy out because then you don't got to worry about them hitting you for the rest of the fight? I was wrong. The best defense is just not fighting at all. Then you don't get hit. You're a master at boxing because nobody hits you. You know what I mean? The best self-defense is not fighting at all. Avoid the fight.
I want to share screen it real quick. I might as well do it at the top. Look, this is the video I put out, and this explains where we're at, top 10 pound for pound. Let me click it real quick, and let's play it. And this is where the top 10 pound for pound is at so far. Middle of month number 4 in 2023. Let's check in with the top 10 pound for pound calendar year 2023 and see what they've been up to. 0-0 in a way. At least he's got something scheduled in month number 7, 0-0. Bud and Spence, you already know the story. Them dudes don't have nothing scheduled. Canelo also 0-0. Right, again. Hold on. This is top of month number 4 in 2023. Let's check in with the top 10 pound for pound calendar year 2023 and see what they've been up to. Usyk 0-0 in a way. At least he's got something scheduled in month number 7, 0-0. Bud and Spence, you already know the story. Them dudes don't have nothing scheduled. Canelo also 0-0, but at least he's coming back next month. Bivol, nothing scheduled, 0-0. Lomachenko is fighting for undisputed in month number 5, but still 0-0. Josh Taylor scheduled for June, 0-0. Bell 0-0 with an injury, and Gallo Estrada 0-0. So combined top 10 pound for pound have a combined record of 0-0. through the first 4.5 months of calendar year 2023. Beautiful. D-Style. We are middle of April. And the top 10 pound for pound, according to Ring Magazine, is 0-0. The top 10 pound for pound last year in calendar year 2022 fought a combined 14 times. So I'll ask the chat and I'll ask you, over under this year, do you think these guys will hit 15 fights combined this year? Because as of right now, only 4 of them have a fight scheduled, and we're in April.
Under
6 of them do not. 6 of them have not fought and do not have anything scheduled. And it's not like we can replace them with anybody because the other guys aren't fighting either.
I'm gonna go with the under.
I am too. I think we'll be somewhere between 10 and 14.
I think 12.
I think a couple of these guys may not fight this year.
Spence hasn't fought in a rolling year, like 12 months.
Yeah, 12
Crawford's fought once in a rolling year.
Mm-hmm.
Canelo's fought, I mean, by May, he'll just have, I guess he'll be at 2. He'll be the most active in rolling years terms. So we are where we are. I mean, at most, guys fight twice a year at most. So that brings us at 20. Most of the guys aren't even scheduled to fight yet. There's no doubt it's an under 15 fights.
Look, under. I think that's the universal sentiment, right? Under. And look, I can nitpick the rankings too. Is I don't understand Spence at 4 above Canelo.
Jermell won't be ready by June, which is why Tim Tszю's going to come back in June. Mm-hmm. So Jermell might not even fight this year.
Right.
And if he does, he'll fight one time towards the end of the year.
It's looking more likely that Bivol fights once this year. Like Munguia, they're talking about waiting for Munguia. I don't think that fight happens in June. I don't think he's going to fight in July. So Bivol, following up on the momentum of being 2022 Fighter of the Year, likely only fights once this year. And that's the issue, is the inactivity. And it's the top 10. You can't have a sustainable sport when the best fighters are simply not fighting.
Right.
It can't happen. And to this too, it's like the rankings are even bad because I don't understand this. And I think this is part of the reason it happens is fighters are seeing that I can fight twice in the same span another guy can fight 6 times, right? And I still have a higher ranking than him pound for pound just because he lost one of the 6 fights. Like Canelo goes 5-1 in a certain span that Spence only fights twice. His output is 3-1 compared to these fighters. And yet he's still ranked lower than a guy like Spence. It's absurd to me. We should be rewarding activity, right? Because that's what we want to see. You agree?
Yeah, I mean, we should, but boxing's a very, like, I guess people take a lot of like the eye test and your overall record plays a big role. You know what I mean? When it comes to pound for pound list. So, but I think what people miss out is this. If you're taking less chances, less risk by being less active, you're rewarding people for not doing those things. If eye test could be very deceiving because there's a thing called a halo effect. If you're not fighting often, that means you run into less obstacles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's what are you gonna do? But like I could compare it to like take an NFL level quarterback and put him in a college game and see how great that quarterback. He's gonna look like the greatest quarterback that ever lived. No matter which NFL quarterback you put there. You could take a major league pitcher and take him to a AAA league. He's gonna be having perfect games and he's gonna look like the greatest baseball pitcher of all time. But everything's relative. You have to look at how often are they doing it and what level of opposition are they doing it against, right? So Spence looked really good against Ugas, but he hasn't fought in a year, right?
Yeah.
It's hard. Like boxing, honest to God, it's hard to do lists in boxing. People don't. There's no at least in college football, they're all playing every week.
It's hard to do for guys that are active. So when dudes start to do these all-time pound for pound lists, it's even more difficult because you're not even talking about the same sport anymore.
I'll take it a step further, Calix. Like I saw somebody post this morning. The tweet read, "Finally, Jermell gets his respect." And I'm like, what is this guy talking about? Well, I guess because they put him on the list. But if he wasn't on the list before and he's been inactive, how is he now on the list? That makes no logical sense. Apparently, they reward you for not being active, right? Because I know you're a stats guy. So how many times has Jermell Charlo gotten punched in the face since the Castaño fight?
0. He's
gotten hit 0 times. Defense. Facts. All these guys, they're so good, they don't get hit. Facts.
You know, you look at the welterweight rankings, and it's almost a microcosm of boxing where we're at, right? It's Keith Thurman is ranked somewhere between 6 and 8 in everybody's rankings. He's 7 in ring. And you're talking about a guy who hasn't fought in 14 months with nothing scheduled. In his last fight, he fought a guy who was moving up from junior welterweight and was knocked out by a lightweight, and he didn't stop him. And then he's fought twice in the past 4 years, twice. So I look at that and I'm saying that guy is still in the top 10. On top of that, the welterweight rankings, they only have 1 fight combined so far this year out of the top 10. I think 1. So the reason these guys are able to stay in the rankings like a Keith Thurman is because simply their peers aren't doing much either. And that's where we're at. And they're allowed to get away with it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, it's just a very, like, you know what people never give me on their pound for pound list is how they equate activity. So how long can a guy stay inactive before he falls off your list? Like no one ever really like gives like a a number. They kind of leave it open ended. So if they like their fighter, they'll leave them on. If they don't, they could use it to take them off. And I'll be curious to just ask people like, what's your criteria with activity? At what point of level of inactivity do you take your guy out of the list, or at least drop him down? I'm just curious. Is it a year?
Yeah.
Is it 2 years? Is it 3 years? Like, how long before, okay, that's it, I got to take him off my list? Because it can't be forever, right? So there has to be a number. And I want to know what the chat, like, if you guys, anybody listening to this show right now in the chat or archive, if you have a top 10 pound for pound list, what is your criteria for activity? Like, what? Maybe you're more lenient than Calix, but I want to know what is the time? Like, how is it a year? Is it 700 days like Jamal? Is it, how long can they be inactive before you say, I can't rate this guy because there's no rating to give, right? Got to remove him. He's not in the system anymore.
And you know what else? I'm not rigid on my pound for pound list. I'm not going to say you got to fight twice to stay on it, but I do dock fighters for not being active over a certain period of time, right? So what I'm saying is, people ask me, why do you still have Canelo so high on your list? Is simply because he's outputting, and it's not just he's fighting bums. That's not, he's not out there fighting bums, but he's still outputting dudes 2-1, and in some cases 3-1 when it comes to guys like Spence and Crawford. So it's hard for me to rank Canelo lower than those guys when he's out there fighting, and he's fighting good competition and doing meaningful things. So how far do I drop a guy like that after a loss? And do I drop him underneath guys who haven't fought since he's fought twice?
Yeah, you value equity and what someone has in place, right? And I totally get that, right? And I don't think people factor that in. To me, that's just something that we should value in fighters, period. Even if you don't do a pound for pound list, right? You should value what a fighter brings, how often do they challenge themselves and bring us fights we want to see, versus guys that don't, right? I think Tank made a career, basically, of fighting in a JV. Like, you know what I mean? He never fought. It was never varsity. Like you know what I mean? Like, it's just, it wasn't. But for some reason, he's like the college team that's winning some random bowl game, and they want to call him the best. I mean, you won the Sun Bowl, bro. Like, it's not, it is what it is. Like I guess it's prestigious, but it's not the championship. And so I think that's what's happening. Like Tank played in a bunch of bowl games year after year, right? The State Farm, I don't know, whatever bowl. Like you know what I mean? Like the
RNL Mowers Bowl.
Yeah. Like and the El Paso Hyundai Sun Bowl. But he won 5 bowl games in a row. Like, well, okay, but he didn't win the championship. Like, it is what it is, so but I don't know. Like he gets rewarded for it by some fans. You know what I mean?
But activity matters, and there's a reason the NBA is doing so bad in America. It's doing great otherwise, but in America it's doing bad. Why? Because I'm taking my son to the Pelicans game tonight, important game, and Zion's simply not playing because he's not mentally ready yet. He's physically back from his hamstring injury, but he's not mentally ready. And
so why not go in there, play a couple minutes to know where he's at?
So the NBA implemented something called 60. They need to play 65 games to be able to win NBA Player of the Year or something like that. A full-time award. You can't be a part-time player. So in order to push back on load management, they have to play a certain amount of games, but they're still not going to stop players from doing this stuff, right? So activity matters. People want to see the best athletes competing. And when you have a sport in which the 10 best athletes in the sport are not competing throughout the first 4.5 months of the year, that's not good. That's not good. So People don't want to see their favorite athletes in street clothes. They don't want to see it.
Look, all I know, and I think people miss
Shout out
out.
to Bruce Gas in the building.
Yeah, shout out to you guys, man. Wheelchair Man John, Bruce Goss, Boxing Jazz, and more. You know what I mean? He's got a very New Orleans name. You know what I mean? Like it's a very New Orleans-y name. Shout out to Bruce. Jazz is big over there, right? Or am I wrong? Isn't jazz like a thing over there? In New Orleans? Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, I was like, man, like what? Hey, but look, I was actually thinking about this, and it kind of reminded me about it. And it has a lot to do with activity. When the top stars are inactive, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a trickle down negative effect that has on the rest of the sport, right? Because let's just hypothetically, like I remember people like made a big deal because Canelo fought Yildirim. Oh, he fought Yildirim, like you know what I mean. But what people fail to recognize, and we've already talked about this, right? Like he fought Smith, and then he fought Billy Joe right after that. But here's what people are missing: if these fighters were to fight, because I have this discussion with like my friend Joe Habib, and he'll say things like, "Yeah, Robinson was active, but he was fighting like in betweeners, that guys that were not that good," and that's true. Like he wasn't fighting a killer fight after fight. I'm not asking these guys to fight a killer fight after fight. I'm not. But think about it: if Spence were to fight a tough guy, let's say like at the level of Ugas, and then 4 months later he comes back and he fights a level of an Ocampo, right? Somebody we know he's going to beat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? Errol Spence, I'm not saying he's like Canelo level as a draw power, but people show up to watch him fight. And since they show up to watch him fight, they're going to show up to watch the undercard. That is a perfect opportunity to sell fighters on the undercard, right? If these top fighters were more active, okay, it will give more relevant dates to a lot of these unknown up-and-comers, right? Like more people would watch Fondura, right, in his last fight if it was on the undercard of an Errol Spence fight. Let's say Errol Spence was fighting somebody that was underwhelming, whatever, but people will be there and they're going to stick around because Spence is going to come on next, right? But since they're not active, they're only fighting once a year. They're spreading themselves out too thin. You know what I mean? And they they need to give PBC needs to give dates, to Showtime. The Zone needs to give dates to the Zone. So what happens? Since the top fighters only fight once a year, maybe twice a year, they don't waste a potential date with a Bam Rodriguez on that undercard. They're going to have Bam on his own card, right? But if these guys were more active, if the top stars were more active and took up more of the slots of the dates, these guys will be properly brought up because they will be coming up on the undercard, okay? Chavez was an active fighter. Guess what? They constantly put Felix Trinidad on the undercard of Chavez fights. That's what Don King did, right? Constantly. Yep. Mike Tyson was active. He constantly put Christy Martin on Mike Tyson undercard. That's how she became a big star. If Tyson was just fighting once every 16 months, even if you put Christy Martin on that undercard all the time, she wasn't going to grow as fast. And then what? You're going to put her on a separate card. Nobody was going to watch her. Like Tyson helped a lot of guys. Chavez wasn't undercards to Tyson. Like people forget stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like that's how a lot of guys make their name on the undercards of the big stars that were active.
It's short-term thinking, right? It's short-term thinking infecting the sport because I've even heard it. Tank versus Ryan, the undercard's not good. But they'll say things like, well, people don't watch the undercards anyway, blah, blah, blah. The people are showing up for the main event. This is where you build your guys, right? This is where you give exposure to the next people. You talking about Christy Martin. We can talk about other fights. You talked about Tito Trinidad. Boxing is littered with dudes who are ladies who came up and got exposure on undercards. And then eventually what happens, they move up to the main event and then become main event fighters, right? That's what boxing. That's the traditional way of building guys. And Top Rank, we talked about that. Top Rank's doing that with Jared Anderson. And what happens now? Jared Anderson is now going to headline his own fight in July at home. Top Rank is still moving for the most part the traditional way, and that's why they're going to build the next star. They will. Inactivity allowed UFC to take over in USA. Tom Brady did not play the Ravens each Sunday, but he was active. Imagine only wanting one tough NFL game a year. Boxing fans are weird. This is, I mean,
now don't get me wrong.
It's like we talked about yesterday. It's like boxing fans are almost baffled when somebody takes a challenge. It's like, no, that's what they're supposed to do. Like Junior's supposed to go to Japan. That's what he's supposed to do. He's just simply behaving like a fighter. Canelo's supposed to want to get back, right? He's a fighter.
We live in a weird, like we live in some weird times, bro. I mean, listen, like when people, a big pet peeve of mine is when people point out a symptom, right? But they don't understand that there's something that caused that symptom, right? When people say, nobody watches the undercards anyway, right? That's a symptom of a problem. Let's address the problem, because people would watch the undercards when Don King was doing cards. Like, because don't tell me nobody will watch the undercards. Or we literally have another combat sport in MMA where people watch the undercards. So if you give them something to watch, they'll watch it
from start to finish.
100%.
From start to finish.
If you give people something to watch, they'll watch it. No, but in boxing is different. No, it's not. Then how did Christy Martin become a big star? Don't give me any bullshit. I interviewed Christy Martin. She literally said, I was very lucky to be on the undercard of Mike Tyson cards. That's what she said out of her own mouth, right? She understands why she became a big star. She gives credit to the fighter that helped put her there, right? And that's what we're missing now. Like, fuck your symptom, all right? Like the symptom that doesn't mean anything to me. Let's address the problem. There's a reason nobody watches boxing undercards, because most of the time they fucking suck. That's why. Okay, that's why most of the time people don't watch the boxing undercards. Now they don't always suck.
They're conditioned to assume they're going to suck.
Yeah, right? You're conditioned to think that way.
You watch a UFC event, the arena is packed from the first fight. And you know what else? It was weird to me as a boxing fan when I saw this about 10 years ago. I go to UFC fight parties that my friends would have, and I'm watching women fight each other. And I'm watching dudes gravitating towards it, getting hyped over it. And I'm watching this, and I'm like, Dana's a trailblazer here. Like, Dana is not only stacking these cards, training the audience to look for these cards once a year, and he's widening the base to where it's not a hassle for people. It's not a bad thing for people to pay for a pay-per-view once per month, because they'll split it. They'll simply split the cost. Or you have a fight party this month, I'll have it next month. That sort of thing, because he's widening the audience. But on top of that, it wasn't a thing to have females fighting each other like that. He was ahead of the curve with that. And what I'm saying is
he was
doing things that other people weren't doing.
Well, Dana was against women fighting in the UFC. But he gave Ronda Rousey a chance. And then what did he do? He adjusted his thinking. You know what I mean? And he caught up with the time. That's what he did.
Bob Arum too. Bob Arum catches up with it, and now I'm assigned Sinise Estrada after saying a couple months earlier that I don't want women fighting on my card. So,
but guess what? You know what Bob values over everything? Money. When he saw that Katie Taylor Serrano did like a $2 million gate and it got 4 million viewers worldwide, he doesn't think dick or vagina. He's thinking money. And he said, I could make money with these girls. All right, let's do it. You know what I mean? That's what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yep. He values money. He'll promote anything as long as it's making money. And he has shown he will co-promote if it makes business sense. You know, and that's where we're at with it. Not all fans are weirdos. Shout out our guy Remy. That's why we're here. We're not weirdos. We're simply not weirdos, but there are a lot of weirdos out there in the boxing world. I've never missed a Ronda Rousey fight. I mean, there you go. Appreciate the super chats, Remy. And whether it was manufactured or not, it was a thing. It was a thing. And they built that. And they built it from the undercard up, right? They built it organically. Nate Diaz has double-digit losses in UFC, but his activity is why he still can seek 500K pay-per-view right now. He's MMA Chisora. USA boxing fans hate activity. And this is another thing we talked about D-Style in the past is the UFC fans, they don't sweat. Like say Fundora loses by knockout. If we had the UFC mentality, we're back looking for this dude again 6 months from now. We're not saying, he's exposed.
Everything is perspective, right? Like, let's say this was a UFC fight instead of a boxing fight. Let's just say that, right? Mm-hmm. The moment he knocks out Fundora, I forget, what was the name of the fighter again?
Mendoza.
The moment Mendoza, I apologize. The moment Mendoza knocks out Fundora, they're showing clips of Joe Rogan and Cormier doing this, and everyone's going crazy. And oh my God, Mendoza's a monster! And everybody will be going crazy in the crowd, and like,
and you'd have a new dude to look out for.
Yeah, like that's what they would do. But you know what we do in boxing? He's a bum. He sucks. He fucking quit. He fucking quit. And then, that's how we treat fighters, right? And then we wonder why fighters don't want to take chances.
And then you're devaluing the guy who beat him because we should be building up Mendoza. We should be, Mendoza, he's a new star. Instead,
that's what they do in UFC. In the UFC, like Rogan would be like, "Well, Mendoza just knocked out a monster." Like that's what he would do. But what do? We devalue everything, and then we make fun. Like, not when I say we got, I'm talking about the chat or me and Calix, but boxing fans, they make fun of fighters. You know how many streams I saw of like people rejoicing over the fact that, and they can feel however they want, right? But that's a problem because why do you guys think when you call Tim Tszyu stupid because he said that he wants to fight the next best guy available? And then if he would have lost, a lot of fans would have been saying, hey, you know what? Shout out to Tim Tszyu, man. He wanted to challenge himself. Harrison was just at another level, whatever. Tim, I hope Tim comes back. No, they wouldn't be doing that. You know what they would have been doing? I told you he's an idiot. He ruined the bag. What a stupid idiot. You're not supposed to take challenges. You're supposed to take easy fights. Be smart. Like Tank. Why was Tim Tszyu trying to, like, the Rose Bowl got canceled. He tried to play in the Cotton Bowl. What an idiot. He should have gone to the Sun Bowl. I'm just saying. Shout out to the Sun Bowl. I love it. I go every year, but still.
Appreciate the super chats. Drew and Remy, definitely appreciate all that support. I mean, this is all stuff that bothers us as boxing fans, and we need to change that culture. If Fundora versus Mendoza was a UFC fight, fans would demand a rematch for the favorite, and it creates a rivalry. Calix Sports needs rivalries, and that's what we talk about female boxing. That's why female boxing is starting to take off, right? Is what female boxing was missing was, we both agree that subsidies were needed, right?
We have proof,
but it needed rivalries. Like women's tennis has rivalries.
Look, Adesanya
and female boxing is now having
100%. Look, the same thing that happened to Fundora, it literally just happened to Adesanya a couple months ago. He was winning the fight, then he got caught, he got knocked out, right? So it just made people like, oh shit, let's see it again. Like, can he do it again? Can he knock him out? I don't know. And if people confuse like my thinking, like, don't confuse my analysis on how I believe a fighter could improve and stuff like that. Don't confuse that. Because I was saying, I think Fundora's a knockout waiting to happen, right? Don't confuse that with mocking a fighter and trashing a fighter after they lose. Because I'm not mocking Fundora. I want to see Fundora fight again. Fundora could get knocked out 6 times for all I care. If he keeps fighting that way, I'll watch him every time. He's an exciting fighter. He's going to be a tough out for anybody because of his activity, etc. I just think from an analysis perspective, don't confuse analysis, right, with me being a fan. Like, I'm a fan of him, but analysis is different. My analysis is that I believe Fundora could be better. I think Fundora could be a more dangerous fighter, right? If he did certain things better. But even if he doesn't change a thing, right? If he's like Manny Pacquiao, like, because that's what Manny did. Manny's like, I'm gonna keep being Manny Pacquiao, right? Whatever. Marquez knocked him out. Yeah. Oh, is Pacquiao going to be tentative now? He went out. He was still Manny Pacquiao. He was still that little fireball like in the ring, right? So even if Fundora changes nothing and keeps fighting that way, I'm a fan. As long as he wants to get like that post fight, he's like, hey man, it happens. I want to keep fighting the best. That's all you got to tell me, and I'm in. I'm sold. That's all you got to do with me. Yep. And until boxing fans value guys that go in there and challenge themselves, I don't know what else to tell you. All right. By the way, I like Tim versus Mendoza, by the way, in June.
Chauncey's taking shots at your guy. He's saying, to be fair, once Tim Tszyu steps up, he's getting beat. Uh-oh.
I mean, look. Jermel's not that dude, bro. He's not a Floyd Mayweather. He's not like a he's not a generational talent. He's a very beatable guy. He's been beat twice in my book. I heard that a lot before the Harrison fight. I heard that a lot before the Castaño fights. The first one.
What's interesting about that is Mel, you can beat him on that first. If you're a good fighter, you can beat him that first go round. Now the second go round, he gets better. And you got to give that to Mel. Like, he makes whatever the adjustments are, and then whatever that is that he has inside of him, like that lion, that dog, he has that in him. You got to give Mel that. Like, that second go around, he's going to get you.
But let me say this. Let's say he does fight Jermel. Jermel knocks him out. He dominates him and knocks him out in 3 rounds, right? Just hypothetically. I'm still going to be a fan of Tim Tszyu.
Yep.
Because I value guys that go there and try to fight the best. That's what I value.
That's that difference in attitude we talk about, right? Is some people would rather their favorite fighter, they'd rather not know, right? I just don't want to know. Just protect them, just pat them, just bubble wrap them. I'd rather not know. And then there's people like us, like we've talked about this, that feeling in your gut that, Canelo versus Golovkin 2, like what's going to happen, or Canelo versus Golovkin 1. And then we talked about this, like Cotto versus Margarito. I was a Cotto guy. That second fight before Margarito, I was like, he's walking to the ring, and I'm like, we got to get this guy. And that feeling you get in your gut.
We got to stop.
I don't know if my guy can win this fight. I don't know if he can win a big one. I don't know if he can win it.
Let me tell you what you don't really see. I'm not saying there's none of it, but MMA fans generally don't ridicule a fighter if he taps out. You know what I mean? That they don't read minds. Because people might say, well, submissions are different. They are. But like even in other cases, like if a guy gets like, I don't know, whatever it is, like they don't try to read minds and like, oh, he wanted to quit. And like, I just think boxing fans are so jaded. You know what I mean? And they're so like, they don't like, I don't know, like they're just jaded. It's the best word I got. They're just jaded as fuck.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And it's like we talk about with Chocolatito versus Gallo. It's like, you want Gallo, I want Chocolatito, and we don't know what's gonna happen. That's where boxing is. That's what it is. Like, that's what it's supposed to be. Competitive, 50-50 fights. I'm a fan, you're a fan of the other guy. Let's see who wins. Fun bantering back and forth. But what it's turned into is this sinking pit of, no, my guy deserves a bigger split. And then, no, my guy would win this fight in this mythical matchup.
This generation,
in the mythical matchup world, because they don't want to see reality. They don't want
to see reality, bro. Like this generation, we've seen it a little bit at 115. That I will say, the weight class 115. But this generation of boxing fans, especially the ones that just started watching boxing, like I can tell when someone just started watching boxing around the time Floyd was on top. And when Floyd like when the Manny Pacquiao Floyd Mayweather thing was at its height, you know what I mean? I can tell when a fan started watching boxing around that time, because anyone who watched it sub that time, right? Anyone who watched it past that will know exactly what I'm talking about. If these guys are active and they fight often enough, you're going to realize something. You're going to realize he beat him, fighter A, Beat fighter B. Well, let me just use names. Barrera lost to Junior Jones. Morales beat Junior Jones. Oh, then Morales should beat Barrera. Oh shit, Barrera beat Morales. Okay. Oh, Manny Pacquiao just destroyed Barrera. Oh, he's gonna fuck up Morales for sure. Oh, Morales beat Barrera. What the fuck's going on? Right? So, like, that is something that happens. If fighters are active and fighting often, that's gonna happen. Frazier beat Ali. Oh my God. Like Foreman just annihilated Frazier with ease. What the fuck? Oh, he's gonna kill Ali. Oh, Ali just beat Foreman. Or maybe Ali's at another level. He'll destroy Frazier for sure. Holy shit, they went in a war for 15 rounds, Sterling Manila. Like, if you watch it long enough, right, you're gonna realize that why we say things like when just because fighter A beat fighter B and fighter B fighter C, it doesn't mean it continues, right? You're going to realize that if you watch boxing long enough, you'll know that. But these guys got to stay active and they got to keep fighting. Guys are winning fights, Calix, without having to fight the guys. Like, oh, well, he beat him, so there you go. Like, no.
It's worse than that. Now he beat him in a sparring session 3 years ago, so they don't even have to fight the fight.
No, now,
sparring session.
Bro, now it's worse, and it's worse than that. And now it's, oh, he went the distance with Pedraza. Tag knocked out Pedraza 5 years ago. Like, so that means he's better, so that he doesn't have to fight him. This shit's great. He can't make this up. You can't make this up.
Is this official? Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz is official. Breaking news. That's a super fight. I hope it is. What do you think about that? Is this a boxing match?
I guess so. It has to be.
Good Lord.
Jake Paul's not going to fight Nate in an MMA fight. I'm pretty sure it's a boxing fight, but I don't know. I'll watch it, but you know what I
mean? That's going to be a big one.
That's a big thing now, though. Like, remember when Cotto beat Martinez, and then Floyd was being interviewed, and Floyd's like, "Yeah," and they thought that guy could beat Mayweather. He's talking in the third person and shit.
August 5th. I'm looking at it right now.
I'll watch it.
August 5th.
Oh, you know what's going to sell it is the press conferences. That's going to sell it.
The Zone pay-per-view.
Let me tell you what, though.
Dallas, Texas, D-style.
Let me just say this.
Yes, Dallas, Texas, August 5th.
All I'm going to say to Jake is this. Look, the trolling and all that, I don't think Nate understands what trolling is. Or like, I think people think Nate's trying to sell fights. And no, Nate's just a gangster, bro. Like Nate is just a real dude. Like Nate will fuck you up, bro. Like, I hope Jake understands that. Like if Jake's over there trying to say stupid things to sell the fight and troll, he may just stand up and slap you, bro. And I don't think you want to have a street fight with Nate.
He ain't trying to sell nothing. He's just a real dude. Shout out to Remy. Thanks for the super chat again. It is a boxing fight. He's confirmed that, and I just confirmed that off of Twitter. August 5th, Dallas. And thanks to Drew for this breaking news in the super chat. But this is a perfect example of what we're talking about. And I love that this broke at this time. Is a lot of fighters lose a fight and they'll disappear for 12 to 18 months. It's what we talked about with Canelo last year, right? It's what happens. Canelo loses the Bivol. We both feel he lost the fight, like clearly. Bivol styled on him. And what does he do? 17 days later, he announces his next pay-per-view. And that pay-per-view does a $23 million live gate. And you'll have boxing fans out there not understanding why that happened. It's like, bro, Canelo is the only person who can separate himself from his base because he built it organically and he built it by doing a certain thing. And that's simply by fighting the competition that the market is demanding him fight. And losing to Bivol is not going to separate him from that. Jake Paul, on a smaller scale, is doing something that other fighters aren't doing. What's he doing, D-Cell? He loses the fight last month against a rival in Tommy Fury. And what happens? He manufactures some beef with Floyd Mayweather a couple weeks later. And then a couple weeks after that, what does he do? Breaking news. He's going to fight Nate Diaz in Dallas in August. So we talked about the top 10 pound for pound combined 0-0 the first 4.5 months. And Jake Paul is about to have his second fight. And we can talk about the quality of opposition, all that stuff, but he is about to have his second fight, and it's going to be another super fight in calendar year 2023 while the top 10 pound for pound.
Like JC just said, facts, Calix. Dímelo! Like, there you go.
Mm-hmm. But this is what I'm saying. Like, we can talk about, it's Nate Diaz, all this stuff. The fight is going to sell. And I've talked about this in the past. Like, Jake Paul's going to run across the wrong dude one day who, you can't manufacture anything with him because he's just a real dude. Yeah. He's going to walk into the wrong gym one day. And Nate Diaz is that type of dude. That's what makes that interesting is he's that type of dude. He's not going to mess around.
Now you think, like, I don't know, man. Like, I remember when, because Jake always does these weird, like, bets. Like, well, if you're so confident, will you bet me your purse? Or if you're so confident, let's bet the loser needs to tat their butt cheek with the other's name. And, well, are you confident or what? Like, he always does those things. You know what I mean? And I think he does it to get under the skin because no one's going to do that bet, But it's like to get under their skin. But like, Nate's not going to, bro. Nate will stand up from that chair and go slap you, bro. Like I'm just like I hope Nate understands that. Like I hope Nate, I'm not Nate, Jake. I hope Jake understands.
He doesn't understand trolling. He doesn't. Them dudes were not messing around. That is.
Like he probably think that's some like weirdo, faggoty shit. That's what I'm just mean. That's maybe his mentality. Like, what the fuck you talking about? What you say? Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if he does a Yo Mama joke, like, Nate will probably get up and beat the fuck out of you, bro.
916 Chris loved the Diaz brother. Loved him.
I did, yeah.
Shout out 916 Chris.
Oh, well, you lost your last 4 MMA fight. He's going to get up and, well, you beat me in MMA, motherfucker. Like, I'm just telling you. So that's going to make the press conferences, like, must watch. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm telling you right now, don't be surprised if Jake Paul starts running from Nate in one of those press conferences.
Jake knows how to sell. That fight's going to sell. It's going to sell even coming off a loss. And it's what these boxers don't understand is what Canelo does understand is losses, wins. I'm going to sell. I'm going to fight. And that's why he's successful. And that's why Jake Paul's going to be successful. But talking about Tank versus Ryan, because that matchup comes 10 days from now, I believe. We're 10 days out. You getting any, like, the reason I love this fight is it's such a wild card fight to me. And I don't think it's on the level of what we're going to see with Haney and Lomachenko with everything on the line, right? But it's still intriguing because stylistically, you got two fighters who are very economical and two guys who can change a fight with one punch. We got to give them that. They both have power. It looks that way anyway, but it's a step up for both fighters because they simply haven't been fighting top competition. So we really don't know who these fighters are. But I'm starting to get this. There seems to be this thing going around that Tank already won this fight. They're talking about it, and they're talking about with Devin and Lomachenko. Like, they're already talking about Shakur versus Devin later in the year and just forgetting about Lomachenko. I'm not so sure, like, these guys should not be looking past Ryan and Lomachenko. To me, they ain't that good. Their ceiling isn't that high to where they can just be looking past big fights. And it would not shock me at all. People are acting like this would be some huge shock if Ryan beats Tank. And it's not. He's not even a 3-1 favorite. It's like 2.5 to 1 favorite.
There's two reasons why you don't do it.
It would not be a big shock if Ryan beats him.
There's two reasons you don't do that. Number one is the reason you just stated. You shouldn't be overlooking them. Mm-hmm. Second, you're not exactly selling the fight to people if you're already kind of making like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to win, and we're already planning the next move. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then Tank, I mean, Tank might do time, bro. I don't think he should be like planning anything at this point. You know what I mean? Like that's the different story. But it's not selling the fights if you're already talking about what's next, and it just isn't. And I don't know. Like Canelo was talking about what's next and what he's going to do in September, and you know what I mean? And what happened? Like Bivol beat him,
and he was a 5.5 to 1 favorite.
Yeah,
and Tank's a 2.5 to 1 favorite. That's what I'm telling people is like, there wouldn't be a big upset if Ryan beats Tank. It's not a big upset. Shout out Drew. Jake Paul's the face of boxing over Ryan and Tank. That's what the numbers tell us so far. If the numbers are true, 750,000 on his last fight. I'm interested in seeing what the pay-per-view numbers are going to do for this fight. The ticket prices on AXS are starting to come down for that fight, but I still think the live gate will do well. I don't know what the pay-per-view numbers will do. We'll probably never find out because Showtime won't reveal them unless they're great. But as far as the matchup, Ryan can beat Tank. And I don't know if you're getting the same sort of vibe with Ryan. Is he looks confident to me. And he looks fine trying to make 136. I think he's been in training camp for a while. I think he's going to make 136 comfortably. And I'd sort of get the feeling that he's going to rehydrate fine. I don't think it's going to be much of a factor. And I don't think Tank going to jail is going to be much of a factor because it doesn't seem like that's in Tank's head too much. I think whoever is the better fighter is going to win this fight. And Ryan is very much a live dog if you look at this fight stylistically. Like he could catch Tank with some shots early. And I think I may fade the public on this fight too. The public seems to think, and if you look at the betting odds, it tells us this, and the public is betting this stuff, is the public seems to think this is a knockout fight. And that's sort of, if you look at the background of both ththese fighters, that's what it tells us. Mm-hmm. But I'm starting to think this may be a decision fight. I don't know if you agree with me on that. I think Ryan's going to take Tank's punches fine.
Do you think it's a possible draw?
I mean, you could throw money on the draw. That's fine. But I'm looking at that Ryan Garcia by decision plus 750. There's just so much value there. If Ryan can last 12 rounds with Tank, if those punches don't affect him the way they affect other fighters.
You know what, you might be right.
That, Ryan puts rounds in the bank early. And
you know where you might be right.
The fight with the jab because he's got that jab. We got ourselves a possible decision fight, and we got ourselves a decision fight that's winnable for Ryan.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I think you're right, and I think people see like the Raleigh and Santa Cruz knockouts, and they're like, I just think they're misled to think that Tank is this one punch knockout artist, right? And he's capable, probably more than the average fighter for sure, to knock somebody out with one punch, but he's an accumulative guy. Like if you look at, he had to, especially with bigger dudes, he had to break down Barrios, right? He had to knock him out by going to the body. People forget that. Like they just think he knock the dude out or something. And you look at other fights, he had to break guys down, and some of them he didn't break them down. Yeah. Look at Gamboa, almost went the distance on one leg. Like just by giving Tank a little bit of movement on one leg, bro.
Isak went the distance.
Yeah, Isak, yeah.
But the Raleigh thing is disturbing to me. It's disturbing to me because it really solidified what I felt about Tank. Is why in the world are they being so defensive with putting this guy in with anybody? So when I watch Raleigh, the Raleigh fight in particular, why it was disturbing to me is I'm watching Raleigh on Instagram, and it's clear this guy he's just not a top 10 fighter. I don't even think top 15, right? And he loses the fight 2 fights before, and then we saw Anthony Yiggett in action this past weekend, right?
Oh, God.
Against the guy just coming up. 8 fights in, Keyshawn Davis, and Keyshawn Davis handles him easily. And Raleigh had some issues the first 3 or 4 rounds against Yigit. And I understand Yigit is awkward, but Raleigh beating Yigit gets him the Tank fight. And they're building up Raleigh as the serious contender for Tank. And I'm saying to myself, there's a reason they're doing this. What are they not showing us? What do they see in Tank behind the scenes that we're not seeing because we're simply not exposed to it because he's not fighting top competition? And I understand you can say the same things about Ryan. You can. You can say the same things about Ryan because he hasn't stepped up yet besides Luke Campbell in the mental health stuff. But what the stuff, this behind the scenes stuff the past 6 months tells me is they put Ryan through every hurdle to get this fight, right? They poison pilled the hell out of these contracts. And still Ryan swallowed every single poison pill and said, I'm here. I want the fight. So that tells me that Ryan is, and Ryan could have a false sense of confidence here. That could be it, but he looks confident to me. Mm-hmm. I think he's going to be fine in this fight. And I think we got ourselves a fight. These people who think that Tank's just going to run through Ryan, I think they got something else coming. That's the sense that I get. You think Tank's going to run through Ryan?
I don't. He didn't even run through Barrios.
That's what I'm saying.
So,
I mean, Ryan, he's a big dude. He's got a jab. He's got a welterweight body. I think he's going to be in this fight. D-stop. Like, I'm putting money on Ryan. I'm going to put money on Ryan. I think we're going to have some plans spoiled here pretty soon. That's my thinking. That's what my instincts tell me. So I like taking this. I mean, I like this fight. A lot of wild cards in this fight, and I'm starting to favor Ryan in this fight or lean towards Ryan. That's where I'm thinking on this. But we also had Bivol's manager come out. We talked about this briefly yesterday, and I want to present some of his comments. Let me pull them up. I don't know if you caught this interview besides what we talked about yesterday. Let me bring up Dimitri Bivol's manager and play some of it and get your thoughts on it and get some of the chat's thoughts on this.
We're still trying to figure out the Munguia situation and whether that's going to work out or not for June. I really think that next week will be the deadline. If that has, if that's going to happen, it has to be scheduled for June before the middle of next week. So I think we're going to hear something in the near future. But so far, just it's been difficult. It hasn't been really working out.
So the deadline is in a week. If it happens, it will happen in June. If not, you guys are moving on.
If not, then we just have to figure it out. Yeah, I don't know if we just go to September or maybe there's a July date that we can discuss. But I think we're gonna know more. I'll be able to tell you more in the next week.
Now, when you say September, you're talking about the rematch against Canelo Alvarez, right?
If that happens, again, I've said it before. I'm not 100% sure that that's all.
Why?
Why am I skeptical? Why? I just, to be honest with you, I don't see I don't.
Did I freeze? Can you guys hear me? Yo. Am I the only one live right now? Is that what just happened? Look, while Calix tries to get back on, I kind of already know the gist of the video. But look, here's what Bivol's team is doing, and it's really, really smart, to be honest with you. Have you guys seen the movie Jerry Maguire? I'm sure you guys have seen it, right, with Tom Cruise and So there's a scene where Jerry is trying to save his clients, right? And he's on the phone with that one guy, with the, I think he's like a running back or something. He's on the phone, and he tells him, "Show me the money," right? Come on, Jerry, tell me, show me the money, right? Like that's what he tells him. And if you've seen the scene, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This is Bivol getting on the phone, telling Eddie Hearn, Matchroom, Canelo, show me the money, right? I beat you. I'm going to leverage everything I can to get more out of you. I know you want this fight. History has shown me that Canelo will bend over backwards to get a fight he really wants. Look at everything he did. He even crossed the street to get a belt from Plant because he really wanted to become undisputed. While he really wants to avenge this loss. You want to avenge this loss? You're going to give me more money. You want to say what you want the rematch at 175? I'm going to say I wanted at 168 for all your belts. Oh, Canelo's still saying that. Okay, well, give me more money. Show me the money. Show me the money. That's what's going on right now. Show me the money in his Russian voice. Show me the money. That's what it is. Hold on, Alex is texting me. Cut the BS. Team Bivol is strictly paper chase. He wants the money. Why wouldn't he want the money, Nando? Why would he not want the money? Why wouldn't he want to make more money? Why wouldn't he? I would do the same thing. I'll tell people, look, Canelo really wants this fight, bro. You saw what PBC was able to get out of him? We're not even asking to go to a different network or nothing. We're going to stay on the zone, right? Whatever Canelo wants, say the opposite, and then he's going to offer you some, right? Whatever it is. If I was Bivol's team, I mean, I would make more requests. It is what it is. I would say in the rematch, I don't want Canelo to wear no boxing, no life gloves. Why not? I just don't want you to wear them. I mean, it is what it is, you know. Like, we'll give you $500,000 to let us wear it. Okay, like they probably will. I'm telling you right now, Canelo might offer money so that they could wear the gloves. Like Canelo, doesn't even understand the power he has as an A side. He just knows he has money to flex with, and I think Bivol's team knows that, and that's what they're going to do. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. I feel strongly about that, to be honest with you. Now, could it backfire? Could Canelo be like, okay, that's it, I'm done, right? Could Canelo just be like, you know what, I'm moving on. Like this guy, fuck this motherfucker and just move on. Could that happen? Of course, but I think they're banking. It's a calculated risk, but they're banking that like this dude, es aferrado. He wants to fight, and he's gonna give me whatever the fuck I want, right? That's just the way it is. Now, look, the fact that he's in other words, he's put himself in a win-win, right? He puts himself in a nice win-win situation. And the win-win situation is either it gives me more money to fight at 175 or I fight for all the belts, for undisputed, for legacy, as Tim is saying in the chat. It's a win-win for him. One way or another, he's going to get something out of it. The biggest weakness in Canelo, in terms, I'm not talking about the ring, but as a negotiator, is that he reveals his cards. He tells people what he's got, right? You play poker, you got chips, you don't reveal what you have. Canelo shows everybody. You know what I mean? Canelo shows everybody, oh, look, I want those chips. Okay, you don't want any other chips, Canelo? No, I want those. Those right there, I want those. I'll do whatever it takes to get those chips. I want those chips, Bivol. And Bivol's like, well, if you want these chips, you got to put these other chips on the line over here. And then Canelo's going to say, okay, whatever. Well, what if you put those chips over here on the line as well? Canelo says, okay. Well, since you're saying okay, well, how about you put some more chips over here? Like that's what Bivol's doing. Like, he's playing the game. He's playing the game, Calix.
He is, and Bivol's manager didn't like where I was going, and he knocked me offline.
That's what everybody says, right? When they kick YouTube's after me. They're targeting me.
You know, it's just I like Bivol. I like what he's doing in certain instances, but what the interview sounded like to me is Canelo's the option for the year, and they're playing the leverage game, right? We can go over here and do better, BF. Yeah, we've been waiting for Munguia. It just seems to me like the goal for Canelo this year, he said, is Bivol, right? That's my single goal, is getting to get back. I think Bivol's goal coming into the year is Canelo, and they're trying to make it seem like it's not Canelo, right? They're playing the game, right? They realize we've got leverage. We can make a lot of money, and they're going to play the game, right? They're going to play the leverage game publicly. Yeah, we want the fight, but it's got to happen at 168. Yeah, you know, we need judges. We need this. We need that. I think they're playing the leverage game and trying to get more money or more out of Canelo because they've seen that you can do that with Canelo in the past. They're simply playing the leverage game. But what I want to see from Bivol is more than one fight. And that's what I'm getting from Canelo, right? I'm getting multiple fights. I'm getting the homecoming fight against a top 5 opponent in the weight class. And that's what I get from Canelo, as a clear and concise plan. It sounds clear. You know he's going to enact it. And from Bivol's camp, I'm watching this interview and I'm like, it's just too all over the place, right? Yeah. And some people like it. Some people like that Bivol's being dismissive of Canelo. And yeah, you know, we've been there, done that. I get it.
I think he's bluffing, bro. I think
so too. I think it's leverage. I think it's a leverage game, right?
Yeah, but like, do you agree that that's Canelo's weakness as a quote unquote A side compared to A sides in the past? He reveals what he wants, and then like they use it against them. Like they just do.
Once again, it's seen as a weakness. I think a lot of new age boxing fans will say, "Oh, that's stupid. It's a weakness." But for us, it's endearing, right? Because he's laying out a plan, and you know he's going to enact it. And we like that fights don't get hung up. Fights, you know, don't fall through because we trust that. Yeah, give him another million or two. Yeah, give him a 22-foot ring. Yeah, I'll put my belt on the line at 168. That's fine. That's fine. But the reason I do like this interview is it confirms what we've been saying since the night of the initial fight. It's Canelo is the one. He's not the one who wanted the fight at 168. He didn't bring it up. It's Bivol. He's saying, if I'm going to fight him again, you know, let's do it at 168. Let's just do it at 168. So that way his belts are on the line. And his plan is to become a 2-division undisputed champion.
But all I know, bro, is that
if that's what he wants to do and be aggressive, I'm fine with that.
Canelo is going to get Eddie Hearn on the phone. You know what I mean? He's going to get on the phone.
Show you the money. Oh, no, you think you better than that, Jerry. I want you to say it what you really mean it, brother. Hey,
say it, Eddie.
Yeah, no, show you the money.
That's what he's going to do to Eddie. He's going to do it, and he's going to be like, come on, Eddie. Eddie, say you love Russian people. Like, I love Russian people. Like, you know, like, he's going to get him to do it, bro. I tell you right now. Say you love half Korean, half Russians. Say it, Eddie. Like, he's gonna be like, I love half Korean, half Russian. I love it. Like I'm telling you right now, man. Like he's gonna be like, show me the money. And he was talking shit to Eddie after the fight too. Like, oh, sorry, I ruined your plans, Eddie.
I know he did.
mean? So I ruined your plan. I know I ruined your plan. Eddie hates me right now. Like, so you know he's gonna tell him, show me the money.
Show me the money. You gave me $5.
Tell me you love Russian people. Tell me you love Russia. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to say it. Say you love Brother
Russian
Rush.
people.
Yeah,
Show me
Eddie with his like his British voice and shit, like just yelling on the phone. And Canelo just sitting there, like, what the fuck's going on right now? So is it gonna happen or what? Like, yeah, give the motherfucker the money. I don't give a fuck. Like, you know, like, I'll just tell you right now, bro.
That Canelo impression is on the money.
Yeah, but you know what's funny is that people think like, well, PBC offers him more money, he's got to take. Like, the dude, like I don't think Canelo cares. Of course, he cares about money, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's pretty expendable to him. Like I just do. Like I think he understands that in the long run, he's gonna make a shitload of money anyway.
He's gonna.
He owns gas stations in Mexico. He's making like $1 million a month just with that. Like the dude's fine. He's got investments. He's got all types of shit. Like you think like a couple $1 million in a multi-fight deal is gonna force him to go somewhere else? No,
you got wealthy people. You got wealthy people who do that, and they just move how they want to move because they know the money's going to come in regardless. Because they are who they are. They created a brand. They're going to move how they want to move. And Canelo's going to move how he wants to move because regardless of what direction he's going in, he's going to make the money. He's going to make the money.
Show me the money, motherfucker. Like I can he's going to say it, bro. I'm telling you. Just give the motherfucker the super money, Eddie. Just give him the fucking money, the motherfucker. I'm gonna fuck him up, man. I'm gonna fuck him up. Like I'll tell you right now, Eddie's probably like, you know, Canelo, do you really want to fight him? I mean, maybe we want to consider other options. Like, I could put the motherfucker in the ring. I don't give a fuck. Like, you know, like I'll tell you right now, bro. I guarantee it. He'd shoot like his ass out on the phone. Like Eddie was probably trying to talk him out of the fight. I'm gonna fuck up that motherfucker. You understand? Like, I'm just saying.
That's the beautiful thing about Canelo learning English is in the broken accent, he just goes into Scarface mode. And I love when he goes into Scarface mode.
Like, it's like he wanted to learn the cuss words like right away. Like, como le digo que chinga su madre. Like he wanted to know how he tells somebody to go fuck themselves. Like that's the first thing.
Don't we all know? I know the cuss words in English, Espanol, and Vietnamese. I know all the cuss words. That's the first thing I knew. Canelo learned those cuss words, and there was no turning back. There was no. Remember when he talked to Bivol Andre at the press conference? Get the
Look, if you don't get out of here, I'm gonna fuck you up, motherfucker. Go outside and fuck you up, motherfucker. Like I'm just like, come on. I don't know, man. Like, all I know is that this dude was using the word motherfucker like over and over, right?
I love it. I hope
when Pat said motherfucker, let's talk about my mother, you motherfucker. Like I think Eddie even said, he's like, oh well, when I walked into the locker room, I didn't even finish the sentence that Billy Joe wanted a bigger ring. He said, yeah, go ahead. Like he probably just said, whatever. I'm gonna fuck him up anyway. Fuck that motherfucker. You know, like you know, he just didn't care. You know what I mean? Like this dude's gonna be on the phone, Eddie, to say you love Russian people. Say you love Russia. Like, show me the money, Eddie. It's gonna be like, show me the money. Then Canelo's gonna be like, give that motherfucker the stupid money. I don't give a fuck. Like, you know, like whatever, bro. Okay. Canelo, he does remind me of Scarface, bro. Like, that dude, like if they invaded his home, he'd be like with a gun, like say hello to my little friend. Like, that's Canelo, bro. Like it is what it is. But like that, isn't that him? Like in boxing,
I saw he was talking to Messi too.
Like think about it.
Messi.
They're invading them. You got Bivol, you got Benavidez, you got the Charlo brothers, you got everybody. Golovkin was coming after him. All these, they all want him. All of them. They're all coming, and dude's walking out like boom. Say hello to my little friend. Like, you know what I mean? That's what it is, bro. Look, you got Andrade out here. Like, they all want, like, they want this dude to do a gauntlet. You know what I mean? They want Dickstown. Like, they just line them up, and the Canelo used to fight all of them. Shit's insane. They're saving themselves for Canelo, bro.
By the way, who did he kick out of the Sweet? Did he kick somebody out of Sweet 16 party? Wasn't it a boy band or something like that?
No, it was a band. And I guess they were I read conflicted stories, but I heard that they were playing whatever they wanted to play. I guess the daughter like requested a song and they didn't play it right away for her, something like that. I may be wrong. And he just get the hell out of here, motherfuckers! Like he just kicked them out, bro. And this is like a well-known band. It's a well-known. This is not just some like random, karaoke band. This is like a well-known band. He just kicked them out, and then he kicked out all the guests, calling them freeloaders and shit. Canelo, they're invited guests, bro.
I love that.
You can't invite people to a wedding or a Sweet 16 and then say they're freeloaders. You invited them. What do you mean? Get the hell out of here, motherfuckers. You eating my cake? You're eating my cake? That's my plate. That's my fork, motherfucker.
Because they're not playing his requests. I love it.
That's my fork. That's my plate. That's my cake, motherfucker. I paid the man to make that cake, motherfucker. That's me. That's my table. That's my chair, motherfucker. It's my yard, motherfucker. Get the hell out of here, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like the air you breathe when you're here. The air you're breathing when you're here is mine, motherfucker. You're breathing my motherfucking air. Get the fuck out of here, man. You know, I'll just tell you, he kicked them out. It is what it is. You know, I would Canelo chewed me out and told me to go. I would like brag about it forever. You're like,
right,
man, what you guys said when you told me to kick.
We will never go another meme. We'll never go another one without not seeing this meme.
I saved my O for Canelo. Why did you challenge yourself? Oh, my O belongs to my O is for Canelo. I'm saving myself for Canelo. I can't lose before I fight Canelo. I'm just saying.
By the way, we'll talk about Joe Joyce and Zhilei Zhang tomorrow because I love that fight. Dude, that's going to be rock'em sock'em robots. That's two dudes coming together, big dudes, throwing hellacious punches. I just imagine how that fight is going to play out. And I think Zhang's going to sleep. Zhang is going to sleep, D-style. He's going to sleep. I think a lot of people have Joe Joyce too low in the heavyweight rankings. I think this guy is a problem, and he's going to be boxed out in the heavyweight division.
They're just moving him
slowly. On that? Do you think Joe Joyce is going to be boxed out at heavyweight?
Actually, I don't. I think he gets a shot by next year. But this I will say. The only thing I'll say, there's something wrong with boxing when Dubois going to get a title shot, and the guy that stopped Dubois and made him quit ain't got a title shot yet. There's something wrong. Like people have to see how there's something wrong with that. And that's all the Reggie belt. It's all that Reggie belt bullshit. Okay, he fought for that Reggie belt, and that's what it is. And that's why that belt shouldn't exist. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's just my opinion.
That is, and if it does exist, it has to be at least valuable in that if you get it, you get a shot at the real champion next. Right? I mean, that's what a mandatory is supposed to be anyway. It's just shaking fighters off of sanctioning fees, but I hate it. He definitely deserves. And then we got Michaela Mayer on that undercard because they're simply, other than the Alicia Baumgardner fight, it doesn't seem like they have a direction to go with Michaela Mayer, right? She's got to move up and weight, fight on the undercard, fight overseas.
She's aiming for Katie Taylor, but I don't know. That's like a leverage thing, or like she's kind of doing from the opposite perspective what Bivol's doing with Canelo. Like, I don't care about Alicia. I'm moving on. I'm gonna go after it. Like, you know what I mean? Because I guess I wouldn't say begging, but she was. I think she had a right to ask for a rematch, to be honest. And Baumgardner was dismissing it. So asking for the rematch wasn't working. Demanding wasn't working. So I think she's trying the passive aggressive. I don't care if I get it or not. I'm moving on approach. And I'll be honest. Yeah, I think the I don't give a damn approach works better, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So that's all I got to say. But you motherfuckers, you better hit the subscribe, motherfuckers. You better hit the bell, motherfuckers, because if you don't hit it, I'm gonna fuck you up, motherfucker.
And we can't explain this, by the way. We've tried. We can't explain. We're at day 663. 600.
Jamal Charlo has compromising pictures of Mauricio Suleiman.
I think that's what it is.
I think that's the only explanation I got.
That's it. I'm gonna end this thing. We'll see y'all again tomorrow.
Shout out to Butcher Walker.
No.
Come on, you can't do that to the kid.
No. Well, he shouldn't have got a weight class named after him, though. On that note, we out of here. See y'all tomorrow. Peace.
Peace.
God bless.